Welcome to Sassy, Soulful, and Sensitive, a podcast for us introverts, empaths, and highly sensitive people. I'm your host, Cam Nichols, and together we're going to explore the strengths and struggles that come along with our sensitivity and learn how to trust our intuition and trust our voice. Let's dive in. Hello, my beautiful friends. What's up, buttercups? All right. Hope you're having a great day, as always. Today, we are going to be talking about success, and specifically defining success. So I want to start out with a quote. For those that don't know me, I am in love with quotes. Don't ask me to memorize them, though, because there's too many good ones. There's just too many. But when I was in the corporate world, when I was in leadership, my desk used to be out in the bullpen. I had my desk and I was next to a wall, and I basically commandeered that entire wall and just pasted it in quotes, and it was the most beautiful thing. But here is a quote specifically about success that I absolutely love that I want to share with you from the incomparable Maya Angelou. She says, "Success is liking yourself, what you do, and liking how you do it." And I love this quote from her because as she's talking about success, notice how the very first part, success is liking yourself. You can't define success for yourself without liking yourself. And when you like yourself, you're going to do things you like. And if you're doing things you like, you're going to find the ways that you like to do them. Anyway, I just thought that was such a great quote. I've heard it many, many times and just wanted to share it with you. So today's episode is specifically good for anyone who feels like they just can't win or succeed. Like no matter what they do, no matter what they try, and they want to look at success through a different lens of their own making. They want to really kind of take the bull by the horns and define that success. In today's episode about defining success, we're going to talk about society's definition of success. We're going to talk about the importance of defining success on your own terms. I'm going to give you some questions to ask yourself to figure out how to define your success. That is super, super important. And I want to then talk about overcoming fear and judgment. So to start, let's talk about just society's definition of success. A lot of the time in what we grow up in a society, success is very much measured with wealth and fame and material possessions. Look at any reality TV show. It's based on all of those things. Wealth, fame, material, beauty, all of these things that are great, but are they really the things that we want to define our success on? There's so much pressure from such a young age to conform to society's definition of success. And what we continue to see over and over and over again over the last several decades, and how the media has kind of shaped and as technology has grown, just this decline in mental health because we're all striving for this version of success. If you've heard me talk about it, I've talked about it before as Instagram worthy, right? It's where people look successful because they have the things, they have the beauty, they have the smiles on their face, they're in exotic locations, they're flying in helicopters and private jets, and as much as I would love to do some of those things myself, it also kind of makes me want to vomit. And let's not pretend like there's not a little jealousy in there, because there totally is, which is totally fine. But more importantly, I think the issue that I really have with it is that that's not most people's life. Like that's just not what success looks like for the everyday person. And I think that that's kind of what is so important about defining success for yourself. And this kind of goes into the importance of why we need to define it on our own terms, because there are some things in this life not everyone has the same privilege. Not everyone has, especially as sensitive people, we don't have the same Energizer bunny techniques in life to push really hard to be successful. We just don't. It's exhausting. And and we see this all the time as well, people who do push and push and push, and they finally get there and they look around and they're like, what the hell is all this for? What's the point? There was such a potent story I heard a couple years ago, a year ago, I don't know, sometime in my past, of this billionaire who he lost a ton of money, and sadly, because of that, he was so crushed that he decided to take his own life. I mean, that's just sad and tragic in and of itself. But the ironic part is that when they looked at the bank account, he was still a multi-millionaire, was still set for life. This is the importance of defining success on your own terms, because if we're putting it towards money, if we're putting it towards material possessions, if we're putting it towards anything outside of ourselves, it's so dangerous, because there are things outside of ourselves that we just have no fucking control over. Do you guys see how this is such a slippery slope? Even for people who are aware and who are introspective and know themselves on a deep level and think deeply like we do, we still fall prey to this kind of programming and this society's version of success, how they're defining it. And when we look at people who define success on their own terms, a lot of them who end up being happy when they have all of the material possessions and the money and blah, 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 there's a huge difference between those who have it and are happy versus those who have it and are not happy. And really, when we look at them, it's because of how they've defined success on the journey. So let's talk about how we define success for ourselves. And what I want to offer is the 5 W's: who, what, when, where, why. When you are defining your success, using questions that are with who, what, when, where, and why can be so, so powerful. So to give some examples, I've come up with questions because I was thinking about this as I was prepping for the episode. What are the questions that I ask myself all the time? And the other amazing coaches and people in my life that I work with and just have the benefit of having in my life, I look at the questions that they've asked themselves and things that have come out in conversation. So here's what I want to offer. Who do you want to be? Who do you want to be as a human? What do you want to represent? What is it that you want to create? What is the legacy that you want to leave? And when I say legacy, I don't necessarily mean like generational wealth or anything like that. But when you pass on, hopefully very, very far in the future, when you pass on, how do you want to be remembered? That's kind of where I'm going with that question. And the next question is, when have I been the proudest of myself? Because when we're looking at success, we don't just want to look at the future. We don't just want to look at the hopes and the dreams. Remember, I am a huge, huge proponent of we are just continuing to discover more of who we are. So that means that a lot of the time we can look back at the past and gather valuable information. And that is one of the questions to do that. When have I been the proudest of myself? That will give you some mighty, mighty gems. So the next question is, where do I want to be in 5 years? Where do I want to be in 10 years? Where do I want to be in 6 months? Where do I want to be in a year? Putting a time frame on it really can kind of help with the planning piece, because the next question is, why is any of this important to me? Why is feeling successful important to me? So notice how it's not, why is having XYZ important to me? XYZ meaning like fame and wealth and beauty and blah, 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 all those things. But why are these other questions important to me? Who do I want to be? What do I want to represent? When have I been the proudest of myself? Where do I want to be in X amount of time? Why is any of that important to me? When you really dig into your own personal values, your interests, your passions, your strengths, if we've worked together, you've heard me talk about this as your internal filter. And let's be honest, we're on episode 16, so I have probably mentioned it like in every episode. It's all about creating this internal filter. This is an important process for us. And so when you are looking to set goals and take actions, really define this internal filter and look at defining what success looks like for every single goal. How will I know at the end of my days and I'm on my deathbed, how will I know if I've lived a successful life? And I was actually in a coaching session last week, and I was having a great conversation with another coach. What came out of my mouth surprised me because a lot of the time I think societal definition is go, 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 do as much as you can, as fast as you can. And the definition that came out of my mouth, success for me in this moment is giving myself what I need when I need it. And to me, that is so, so powerful because what I need changes. And that's something important to remember as you define success, is that it's okay that it changes as you evolve and you remember more of who you are. Let it change. But I loved that definition for me. So if that is helpful to you and you hear that and you're like, oh yeah, take it, run with it, adopt it. It's yours. I give it to you freely. But that's where I go with it right now, is success for me is giving myself what I need when I need it. And in that aspect, time doesn't exist. And let me explain a little bit. So the coaching I was getting from my coach friend, we were talking about time scarcity, which stay tuned for a future episode because we're going to be talking about managing time and energy. But I was really in a place of time scarcity. And when that definition came out of my mouth of giving myself what I need when I need it, it was like time is completely irrelevant. I'm not forcing myself to do things. I don't want to say justifying procrastination, but like sometimes I will have something planned on my day. And it's like, hey, my success definition for the day is getting through everything on my calendar. And there are many, many days that just doesn't happen the way that I think it should. And on that particular day that I got this coaching, it was like, what did I do instead of what was on my calendar? I took a shower earlier than I had anticipated because that's what I needed. I was just like, I need a refresh. I need just like this cleansing water energy. That's where I feel at home, is in the water. I was like, that's what I need. And I gave it to myself. And it was so great. Giving myself something that I need when I need it, it not only takes away the time scarcity of any version of definition of success, but it also takes away this idea that there's a right way to do it and that there's a wrong way to do it. So this is why defining it is so, so important for yourself. And let's be honest, when we are defining success for ourselves on our own terms, in our own definitions, in our own words, it can come with judgment from other people. There's a lot of fear that comes up around that judgment, which is totally okay. And it's totally to be expected because that's basically just our primal brain being like, yeah, we need this tribe to survive. And if we're rejected, if we're judged and we're rejected, then we're going to die. That piece of your brain is useful. It is helpful, but we don't need to listen to it all the time. And so I think that's really, really important to understand, is that as you are going through this process of defining your success, defining what it means to you, you will have fear of judgment come up. You will have fear of rejection come up. There will be people, if you share this, which I do recommend that you share your definition of success with your partner, with your friends, with your boss, with your coworkers. When you share it, some people won't like it. Some people will judge at you. And that's totally okay. Because what I want to offer is, before you share it, think about what success looks like when sharing your definition of success. What does that look like to you? What does that sound like to you? Regardless of how anyone else reacts outside of you, what does that version of success look like for you? Does that mean if you do meet judgment, if you do meet rejection of some kind, if they laugh at you, if they scoff at you? And I'm totally just whipping out my own fears here. These might not be the things that you're afraid of, but they might be if you're like me. But it's like, if that were to happen, what do I want to make that mean? About myself, about my definition, physically, how do I want to react? What are the words I would want my response to be if that were to happen? There's a lot of research within neuroscience that shows the importance of mental rehearsal. This is an example of that. Like, really think about what this would look and sound like, what you would physically do. Would you walk away? Would you turn around? What would your response be? Would you say something? Would you make a noise? And kind of have that mental rehearsal beforehand. I guarantee that if you do that and you feel really good with that mental rehearsal, that when it happens, things will go so smoothly for you. This is all backed by the neuroscience, folks. Research has been done on this. Feel free to Google away, read the research, all of that stuff, because this shit works. So I want to know what your takeaways are from today's episode. So email me, reach out to me on social media, leave a review with your answer, preferably 5 stars if I could ask, if you feel so called. Leave a review, message me, tell me what your takeaways are from today's episode, because I really do want to connect with you and I do want to hear them. I love hearing from my sensitive people. Absolutely love it. Connection and community are really important to me personally. Those are some of my personal values. And that's really important for me to create in my business. And if you've been in a group coaching program with me, we're participating together, or if you've been in one of my group programs that I've led, you know this about me. So I would love to hear from you. But if I had to pick 3 takeaways that I really want you to walk away with from this episode, this is what they would be. Number 1, everyone will define success for you, but no one else can make you feel successful. Everyone will want to define success for you, but no one else can actually make you feel successful. That's all you. And that is the good news. It's amazing. Number 2, defining success on your own terms will help create a roadmap that you can always refer back to when you start to feel lost. Just because you define success, just because you have a beautiful plan and roadmap and all of that stuff, it doesn't mean that you're not going to feel lost or doubtful or any of that ever again. But when you have those things mapped out, when you have it defined, when you have it written down, when you share it, you can always refer back to it to help bring you back into alignment. Number 3, it's okay to reevaluate and change your definition of success as you continue to evolve and you continue to remember deeper levels of who you are. If I had to pick my takeaways for you that I hope that you get from this episode, those would be the 3 that I want you to walk away with. As I reflect back on those takeaways, there's so much power in them. There's so much power and empowerment in defining success for yourself. So remember, as you're figuring out your own definition of success, know that it's okay to adopt other pieces from other people. That's totally okay. Just make sure it feels good to you. It feels true to you. Remember, go back to those questions, the 5 W's. Who, what, when, where, and why. That is what is going to help you define your version of success. You will find success if you define it on your own terms. You will not find success if you're defining it on external things, external people, external definitions. Success comes from within and grows and shines outward, not the other way around. All right, my friends, that is all I have for you today. As always, remember, shining bright gives others permission to shine as well. Take care. Hey, thank you so much for hanging out with me today. If you want to learn how to find your voice and lean in more to the powerful force of nature that you know exists within you, head on over to coachwithcam.com and take the What Element Are You quiz. You'll discover how to align with your secret strength that you perceive as a weakness so you can break the cycle of doubt and step into your badassery. And if you enjoyed the show, make sure to follow, rate, and review it on your favorite podcast platform and share it with a friend or family member who you want to connect with on a deeper level. You'll be helping other sensitive folks like yourself and like me find and join our amazing community. So let's connect and support each other on this incredible journey.